Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to FP1 and let's have a chat about the Hungarian Grand Prix. It was always going to be difficult to beat the excitement and drama from the Hockenheim wing last week, but I tell you what, this race still delivered. That's 4 on the trot now. So just like last week then, we're going to be discussing my review of the race and of each of the drivers' performances as well. So let's run down the order and get straight into this. So let's start then with that titanic battle between Mercedes Lewis Hamilton and Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Absolutely incredible to watch all race long. I'll be honest, when Hamilton pitted on lap 50 with about 20 laps to go, I was not expecting him to catch up. I was sat there thinking, oh, Sky Sports are bigging it up. It's not going to happen. No way. But then I was proven wrong. Verstappen's tyres fell off the cliff. And it was like 2 seconds a lap or something towards the end before that he made that overtake on lap 66. Brilliant racing. And they really kept each other honest throughout the entire race, which is incredible to see, and it's going to be brilliant to see that rivalry develop as well as we head over to the end of this season, into next season as well. If Red Bull can keep developing that car, we can see those two battling out for a world championship. If not this year, most likely next year. Another note on Verstappen then, he was kind of damned if he did, damned if he didn't. He obviously, no one was expecting Hamilton to pit. Brilliant move from the Mercedes strategy group there. But even had he pitted the next lap, Hamilton even was already in that undercut sort of region, so he would have passed him. And obviously we saw what happened when he stayed out, so it was really a shame for Max Verstappen today. Nothing he really could do. He just had to do the best with the machinery he had, and he did do a fantastic race as well. And for someone who's quite impartial between Hamilton and Verstappen, it was a great battle to watch. It was absolutely incredible. It's edgy as seat stuff. More of that, please, in the second half of the season. So another battle that wasn't documented as much, but was equally as interesting, was that between the two Ferraris of Vettel and Leclerc. So Leclerc was running third place for the majority of the race, then with about a couple of laps to go, Vettel, just with the slightly fresher tyres, gets ahead of it at turn 1. Brilliant race between those two as well. I mean, Vettel's not the best overtaker in the world, but it was a fantastic battle to watch those in those last few laps. What is worrying, though, is how far back they were from the rest of the field. 61 seconds behind the race winner, Lewis Hamilton's finish time. That is worrying. For a team that came into pre-season testing with what seemed like the fastest, or at least second fastest car, to be 61 and 65 seconds behind the leaders is not a great position to be in if you're associated with the Scuderia. Hopefully they can find some pace in the second half of the season, but it's looking like Red Bull, if Gasly can get a few more good performances in, could really make a strong challenge for that second place in the Constructors' Championship. Carlos Sainz had a pretty quiet race from the Spaniard and McLaren today, but another brilliant one. P5, best of the rest, really picking up some fantastic points for the team. And Lando Norris, we'll get onto in a minute, P9 as well, did quite well despite having a bit of an issue with the pit stops. I tell you what, since France, that team have confidently been best of the rest. Where are Renault? I will get onto them in a minute, but they've had another dreadful race and a dreadful weekend, really. I'm just hoping they can find something in the second half of the year and make that battle for fourth place a little bit more exciting. But yeah, fantastic race for Carlos Sainz. Did everything right. No issues there. And just a note on this. Mercedes lapped everyone from Carlos Sainz downwards. Only the top 4 finished on the lead lap. Formula 1.5 has never been so prominent, I think. But hey, let's move on. Good old Pierre Gasly. Okay. Oh, what to say about good old Pierre? I mean, I cannot think of any excuses this weekend. We saw the pace that Verstappen had in the car. Qualifying, he was like 8/10 off his teammate, which is just ridiculous, really. And even in the race, he was just nowhere. He was down to like P9 after the start. And I can't defend him anymore, man. I think he'll stay out the season, but like I said in the German video, I just feel like that first video I made on Gasly, I need to delete it with every single day that passes. But hey, if you haven't checked it out, check it out, by the way. Link in description. But Pierre, what to do with you, buddy? I mean, we'll get onto the Toro Rossos in a minute, but I think they just need to put one of those drivers in that seat. Just let him see out the season and then make changes, because Gasly is just not ready for that top team position just yet. It's reminded me very much of a Perez 2013 situation when he stepped up to replace Hamilton at McLaren, and he just wasn't quite ready yet. He was making mistakes. He was spinning out. He was crashing. He crashed in Monaco and also in Brazil as well that year. Those are the two that stand out for me. And it tanked his entire career. And he's not been able to get out of Force India, then Racing Point since. And I feel like we're seeing a very similar thing with Gasly. I think next year we could see him in the midfield team. Maybe Toro Rosso, maybe somewhere else. And then just see out his season in the midfield, or see out his career even in the midfield. But hey, we'll have a driver predictions video coming up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Kimi Raikkonen outperforming that Alfa Romeo car again in P7 today. Did a fantastic job. Again, quite a quiet race. I think a lot of the focus was spent on Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton's battle at the front. But brilliant race from the Finn. I think this is probably his best season in about 4 or 5 years. He did pretty well for Ferrari last year, and I think it's still a little bit harsh that he got dropped from that team, but I think he's loving life a lot more in Alfa Romeo, and it's going to be good to carry on seeing him in that car for the rest of the season and into next year as well. So, yeah, he's definitely carrying that team on his back. Giovinazzi's not doing a bad job this weekend. Maybe a bit of a blip on his recent performances, but great race from Kimi Raikkonen today. But then we get onto Bottas, and this race really, I think, will decide his career. Mercedes did come out and say that they're going to be choosing whoever fills that second seat next to Hamilton based on Bottas's performances in Germany and Hungary. So far, Germany, he crashed. Hungary, I mean, the start, it wasn't the best start of the line. Hamilton beat him, and then I think it was going to turn 3, turn 4. There was just that little clip. Hamilton was very lucky not to get a puncture. I think that probably already damaged Bottas's front wing. But then Leclerc came over as well and just probably misjudged the spacing between the Ferrari and the Mercedes and basically doing insult to injury. And from then on, you could just see how Bottas's performance just fell off the cliff after that, just because he had no pace. He couldn't keep that car going with the lack of aero he had. So I think that front wing change was definitely necessary. Since then, I mean, Hungary is a difficult track to overtake on. We know that. I think it's called Monaco without the walls for a reason. But he just struggled. Like, he was behind Ricciardo in a car with very, very poor straight line speed compared to the Mercedes for a good 15, 20 laps before finally being able to get through. And I worry we're just going back to the Bottas of last year in these last couple of races. And he's definitely feeling the pressure, I think, of Ocon breathing down his neck. Lando Norris could have been up there today. Wasn't particularly his fault. I think there was a slow pit stop. Lots of slow pit stops today, actually. Ferrari had a few slow ones. I think Bottas might have done as well. Renault definitely had a slow pit stop or two in there. But like I said, a good race for McLaren today. Still picking up some strong points. And with a double non-points finish for Renault today, that's definitely going to help them in the Constructors' Championship again. Alexander Albon for Toro Rosso. A great race from him, stealing that extra point. I think, yeah, he really came on those last few laps because he was behind Kvyat for a lot of the race. And can I just say that battle between Albon and Kvyat about the halfway point was fantastic. It was just what the Haas guys should be doing rather than hitting each other. I think it was through turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, side by side. Albon eventually getting forced off wide in that very, very quick left-hander at the top of the hill. But brilliant race from those two today. It just shows that there is hope with racing in Formula 1. And if these 2021 regulations do what they say they're meant to do, then it's looking very exciting for the future. We've got some good races up there. Sergio Perez for Racing Point. Not much to really say for him. He did a pretty good job. Obviously, that head Racing Point. Stroll was pretty much nowhere today. Really good start, actually. Came from something like P17 to P13, which, as I said on the track, where you can't really overtake. Wonderful work for him today. Did some good defensive work out there as well against Bottas and a few other drivers today. Shame he missed out on the points though, but definitely a good race. I think having started where he did, he outperformed that car today. So great job there for Checo Perez. And now then on to Renault. So Nico Hülkenberg, complaining of power issues throughout the whole race. I'm going to do Renault as a package deal. Daniel Ricciardo P14 as well. Did a good job coming up from the back. Some fantastic overtaking manoeuvres today. But it's just been a bit of a nightmare few races for Renault, really. Obviously, a double retirement last time out in Germany. Hulkenberg having supposed power issues, and obviously Ricciardo getting held up at something in qualifying. I didn't watch Q1, I was at work, but there was something going on with Perez, I think, and they just sort of screwed each other's laps. Big shame today. I think they were also bigging up Hungary as a race where they could put in some good performances, and it's just not really worked. I can't remember what the Constructors' Championship looks like now, but they are a very far points gap behind McLaren at the moment. So hopefully in that second half of the season they can find something and just figure out what's going wrong with that car. But yeah, a lot of that early season promise has kind of fallen flat. Now we've hit the halfway point. Just realised I actually missed the titanic battle between Kevin Magnussen and Daniel Ricciardo. Completely forgot about that. Brilliant racing there. Magnussen maybe a little bit aggressive on the brakes and cutting across Ricciardo a few times, but it was good to see as well. I'm a Daniel Ricciardo fan and I wasn't complaining with that. So yeah, fantastic racing, really exciting. I think Ricciardo was getting a little bit hot under the collar as his overtake attempts became more and more futile, and he did sort of fall away at the end. I think it was about three or so seconds he finished behind Magnussen, but some brilliant entertainment out there on track. Danny Kvyat then fell away a little bit at the end. Obviously a podium finisher last time out. I think was running P10, P11 for a lot of the race. As I commented, great battle with Alexander Albon, but I think his tyres, just like a few drivers out there, fell away at the end. Some weird strategies going on with people starting on the hard tyre, people going onto the hard tyre, which you don't usually see in races that often. So yeah, it was great on the strategy sort of front. So a big shame for Kvyat really falling away at the end, but still not a bad race from him. P15 in a car which is probably there or thereabouts. The midfield is very tight this year, so we're bound to see people like this slip away down towards the back of the field. But hey, a good race from Toro Rosso this weekend. So P16 then for George Russell in the Williams today. Pretty good race from him. Fantastic qualifying. I thought he was going to get out of Q1 for a second, but sadly just got pipped out right at the end, P16. But I think that's Williams' best qualifying position, hands down, this year at least. So brilliant job then from the young Brit. There was a story that came out, I think it was either this morning or late last night, that he is in no way being considered for that Mercedes seat, which I think is fair enough. We don't want to do a Gasly with Russell and put him in a top team too quickly. I could see him moving to a midfield team, maybe Racing Point next year. I don't know. I feel like Perez will stay there, but Russell will either be Williams or Racing Point, I think, next year. I'm going to have a driver predictions video coming out in the next couple of weeks, but a great race from him. He held his own in the car that is not the quickest out there and beat the Racing Point of Stroll and Giovinazzi and Alfa Romeo in a car that has hit the top 10 several times this year, lots and lots of times. So brilliant race from George Russell today. I think, yeah, he's starting to come alive in that Williams now. They're starting to get the upgrades on that car. He's starting to get a feel for how the car drives as well. And yeah, confidently outperforming Kubica, who we'll get onto in just a minute. Lance Stroll, just nowhere today, really. I mean, lot to talk about him after the last race in Germany, where he was leading at one point. Didn't really get that good of a start. Couldn't really make his way out the field. And just sort of stuck at the back of the grid. Yeah, a bit of a disappointing one from him today. Not much to talk about either. Was just sort of trundled around at the back. Really disappointing though for Antonio Giovinazzi. Don't really know what he was doing today. Beaten by Williams. Wasn't too far back from Stroll, but still just nowhere. Really, this entire weekend, he obviously got done for impeding, I think it was Stroll, in qualifying. And then his race his weekend really just went downhill from there. So a big shame for the Italian. And especially now when that seat, and obviously Mick Schumacher winning in the F2 race, there are a few murmurings that Mick could go to Alfa Romeo next year. I don't think that'd be the right choice for him. I think Mick needs another year in F2. But you never know. That Alfa Romeo seat, Ferrari can put whoever they want in there. So I think we'll just have to see how it goes, really. But Giovinazzi definitely needing to pick up his game a little bit. And the last of the finishers, Robert Kubica. And yeah, just nowhere. The only driver 3 laps behind. Everyone else was 1 or 2 laps. The leader. And yeah, again, more rumours about him, whether Ocon would replace him. Now I think Ocon's pretty much comfortable in that Mercedes seat. I don't know. Maybe they could put Latifi up there, but then again, would they want him to get in the way of his F2 title? I'm not sure. I'm sure Latifi would happily take an F1 drive over finishing the F2 season. But yeah, bit of a another worrying race for the pole today. But those are just my thoughts then on the Hungarian Grand Prix, and the real thing here is to see what you guys think. So don't forget to put down in the comments below what you thought of the race, who you would have liked to win out of Verstappen and Hamilton, and if you thought there was any way Verstappen could have won that race at the end there. Don't forget, of course, to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.